principal associate Nandishwara, Rosha, anger, Kashaya, red, Dushitaha, blinded, Dakshaya, to Daksha, Sapam, a curse, Visasarja, gave, Darunam, harsh, Ye, who, Cha, and Anvamodan, tolerated, Tat avachyatam, the cursing of Shiva, Dvijaha Brahmanas. Translation. Upon understanding that Lord Shiva had been cursed Nandiswara, one of the Lord Shiva's principal associates became greatly angry. His eyes became red and he prepared to curse Daksha and all the Brahmanas present there who had tolerated Daksha's cursing Shiva in harsh words. There is a long standing discussion among some of the neophyte Vaishnavas and Shaivites. They are always at loggerheads when Daksha cursed Lord Shiva in harsh words. Some of the Brahmanas present might have enjoyed it because some Brahmanas do not very much admire Lord Shiva. This is due to their ignorance of Lord Shiva's position. Nandishwara was affected by the cursing, but he did not follow the example of Lord Shiva, who was also present there, although Lord Shiva could also have cursed Daksha in a similar way. He was silent and tolerant. But Nandishwara, his follower, was not tolerant. Of course, a follower, it was right for him not to tolerate and insult the an insult to his master. But he should not have cursed the Brahmanas who were present. The entire issue was so complicated that those who were not strong enough forgot their positions, and thus cursing and counter cursing went on in that great assembly. In other words, the material world is also unsteady, that even personalities like Nandishwara, Daksha, and many of the Brahmanas present were infected by the atmosphere of anger. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Panchatirichitarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaurabhaktaranda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here the context is, we were discussing about conversations and curses between Daksha and Shiva. Shiva came, in the assembly of Daksha. Shiva did not get up while Daksha is entering into the assembly. So Daksha got offended, and with that, Daksha cursed Lord Shiva. He should not get any portion of worshipping. So he used very harsh words, and he left the assembly. Then after that, Lord Shiva was very tolerant. He was able to tolerate that offense. But the follower of Nandishwara was not control his anger because of the insult towards his master, and he was about to start cursing the whole Brahmanas. So here, what can we understand from this situation, and how can we handle this kind of situation in our day-to-day life? First thing, the whole calamity started because of a Vaishnava aparat. Lord Shiva is the greatest of Vaishnavanam Yatasyambhu. So even though Daksha Prajapati is a highly elevated person, he offended Lord Shiva. So with that offense, whole calamity got started. So Vaishnava offense is very, very dangerous. We should not entertain that, and we should not. We should be careful not to offend any Vaishnava. Vaishnava offense in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned that Hatimati. So like a mad elephant, touching the mad elephant. So the mad elephant, the elephant itself is a very heavy and very strong. If elephant enter into the garden will be smashed out. Similarly, if mad elephant enter into the garden, it will uproot all the trees. Similarly, if anyone commit offense against the Vaishnava, our bhakti also will be uprooted. So we have to be very careful. So here, further in the next verse, Nandishwara is cursing all the Brahmanas will be bereft of transcendental knowledge. So you lose all your transcendental knowledge. So because of Vaishnava Aparad, all this calamity got started. And Lord Shiva, even though Daksha was cursing him so much, Lord Shiva was standing as is without any agitation. Lord Shiva behaved like a perfect Vaishnava. He showed an example of a perfect Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Tirnadapi Sunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanena Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. So a Vaishnava should be tolerant like a blade of grass. Need to tolerant like a blade of grass. So on the street, so many people will step on the grass, but grass will not react. Similarly, here, even though Daksha is using very harsh words, Shiva did not respond. This is a perfect way of dealing with any offense. Why? Because if one person is angry and one person is losing his control, if other person is tolerate and stay calm, automatically opposite person angry will be reduced. If this person is also counteracting, that fighting or that offense will never end. So first lesson that we can learn from this sloka is, if anybody is offending to you, just Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. That's it. You don't need to react on that moment. You can react Later, when that Prabhu or Mata is in a cool mode after a few days, Mataji, on that particular day, you are shouting at me or you are yelling at me. Can you please tell me what kind of mistake I did? So I'll correct myself. Or is that appropriate to shout in front of everyone? Is that appropriate to you? Like that, we can ask a question humbly. Then your problem will be solved. So if you are fighting each of you in front of everyone, then it's a great damage the relationship between both of you, and it is great damage to the whole institute as well. So we are presenting as a Vaishnavas. So outside people may think like that. They are saying that they are following Brahma, Madhya, Gaudiya, Vaishnava, Sampradaya, ISKCON, all these things, but they are not able to control their senses. One word, enough. Whole trust or whole goodwill will be lost. So we have to be very careful. If anybody is shouting at you, yelling at you, tolerate like Lord Shiva. Later you can deal with that one. But on that moment, do not react. Okay, Shiva did his role properly to deal with the offense, but the follower of Shiva, Nandishwara, could not tolerate. This is also correct behavior only, correct attitude only, in one sense. Why? Because if anybody is offending a Vaishnava, we should not tolerate it. We should stop it somehow or other. Yeah. So Shastra is telling that if you are a Brahmana, you should convince other person with your Shastric knowledge, with your examples of Shastras, or with your convincing power. You can go and convince other person not to offend. If you are a Kshatriya and that offense is very severe, intolerable, and which is causing damage, you can go and cut the tongue of that offender. If you are a Vaishya and you are not able to deal with the situation, you should leave that place. You should not stay there. And if you are a Shudra, if you are unable to hear, or you don't have any energy to counteract, or if you don't have anything, better to commit suicide. So these four are mentioned in the Shastras. So as per that, Nandiswara could have convinced others, but he was not able to control his anger, and he started cursing whole Brahmanas and Daksha. This is the problem. So if anybody is offending, both two persons are fighting each other, any situation, maybe any place in the temple or in the home or in the office or anywhere, instead of taking one side and supporting one person and making that fight more stronger, with your intelligence, you need to understand the problem and try to give the solution to the problem. Fighting is not the answer. Fighting is not the solution. So, or showing anger or insulting each other is not the solution. Rather, what is a problem? How can we solve it? How can both parties will be happy? Win-win situation. We need to come up with the agreeable solution. Then you are a perfect person. So we should not take one person's side and make the situation worse. We need to understand the problem and find a solution. Um, like we need to try at least. Like if you take in Mahabharat, Pandavas and Kauravas are having a conflict. So with that conflict, Krishna Paramatma went as a conflict resolver and tried to convince them. Whether they got convinced or not, that is secondary. But first, our primary job is try to convince. Because whoever is practicing Krishna consciousness, they are called Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are higher than the Brahmanas. So we should utilize all our intelligence, all our scriptural knowledge, and try to find the solution and try to make it calm down the anger and offenses, all those things. Otherwise, if one offense or one wrong step or one unintelligent decision will collapse everything in seconds. So to burn the forest, you don't need to go and lit the fire for every tree. Just if you lit one tree, whole forest will be burnt out. Similarly, one unintelligent word or one wrong decision will collapse whole relationship and whole society within no time. So we have to be very, very careful while dealing with Vaishnavas, especially because Vaishnava Aparadh is very, very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And also, Nandiswara infected by the atmosphere of anger. So Prabhupada wrote the last sentence. Nandishwara was infected by the atmosphere of anger. Anger is a very dangerous element. We should not utilize anger for sense gratification. Oh, he is insulting me, I need to go and fight. Or he's not giving me this so and so thing, so I can show anger. No, we should not utilize anger for the sense gratification. We should utilize the anger for the service of Krishna. How it is possible? If you want to engage anger in the service of Krishna, you should free from the anger first. Right? If you are yourself is bounded with the anger, how do you utilize that anger in the service of Krishna? You cannot, right? So let's say you are tied with a rope and you want to utilize that rope for some other purpose. If yourself is tied with that rope, how can you untie and how can you utilize that rope for another purpose? You cannot. So if you really want to engage the anger in the service of Krishna, you should be free from the anger. If you take again the Kauravas and Pandavas situation, Arjuna is free from the anger. First of all, he doesn't have any grudge or anger or any bad feelings towards Kauravas. He said that I will renounce myself, even though if they don't give anything, I'll renounce myself and I'll give up this kingdom. I'll live my happy life in the forest. Doesn't have any anger. After hearing the words of Krishna, no, you are not doing this fighting for sense gratification, you are doing this fighting for the protection of Dharma. You have to follow this is your duty. Then Arjuna accepted to fight, but even in the fighting also, he is free from the anger. The daytime, he engaged his anger in the service of Krishna by shooting the arrows of the enemy's army. In the night time, the same Arjuna used to go and discuss with the enemies in a friendly way without any anger. Yeah. So your anger should be utilized in the service of Krishna without infecting yourself. It's a very tricky thing. Why? Because if you are infected with anger, you will lose your intelligence. So you will lose your intelligence, and with that, you will take wrong decisions and you will fall down from there. So we should not be infected with anger. If you want really utilize the service of Krishna, you should not be infected with the anger. This these three things, anger, lust, greed, are three gates to hell, which will pull you down from higher positions to the lower position. If you take any situation in the world, any fall down in this world, even materially or spiritually, the reason is one of these three. Either that person is infected with anger or lust or greed. If you are able to control yourself, not infected with these three things, then you will progress both materially and spiritually without any issues. Even in the offices or businesses, anywhere you take, if any person is infected with these three, if anybody shows anger in the office or in the business, he will be the loser, not others. He need to control his anger. The same thing applicable lust and greed also. But it is not so easy because we have a lot of false ego. If anybody touch our ego, or if anybody behaved against to our will, immediately anger will come outside. So first we need to come to the real identity. We should give up the false ego and we should understand our real identity. I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, I'm the servant of Krishna. Gopi Parata Kamala Padayor Dasa 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 Dasanudasa. And then with that state, if you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and if you hear and read Srimad Bhagavatam, we can easily control our anger. Because these are all the history, what happened by showing the anger, what happened. By hearing this one, we will realize, oh, we should not behave like this. If you behave like this, we will be the losers. So this history will remind us not to react or not to do or not to repeat the same mistake. So that's why our acharyas gave a wonderful formula. Our day will start with the spiritual dose. Wake up morning, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, read Srimad Bhagavatam, Mangal Harati. All those things will give a dose for us, like antibiotic, because Once you start your day, you are infected with your mode of passion and ignorance, and you are influenced with so many people. They may create so many problems, and with that you may react, and with that you may do mistakes. But whereas if you take morning dose, japa, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Mangalarati, then we can easily control our anger, our lust, our greedy, and we can save ourselves. So we need to take simply follow the acharyas and free from all these things, and lead a happy Krishna conscious life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Over to Madhupati Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Bhakti. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Jai Nrsimha, Praladesha, Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Pingam. Ugraviram Mahavantam Sarvadvamtam Nrsimham Vishwanapadam Nityam Namamiham. Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vanchakalpatarubhasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol. Thank you, everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hari Bol.
Thank you.